no pictures from that one. I think the story will be funny.
Brenda Roach is here.
Good morning.
Good morning. We're talking about all of our stories, but of course, Miss Roach has a story to tell as well.
Yes.
The role of counselling.
Yes.
You'll learn a bit about that this morning.
And it's timely, right? Because it's Drug Awareness Month.
Indeed. Indeed. It's something that a lot of people I find shun away from. They're a bit fearful of going in front of a counselor and sharing their story, sharing their innermost experiences and how they're affecting them. Brenda.
Good morning.
Good morning.
again.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure.
And yes, everything that you did mention is true. Some people do find it hard to come and sit down and talk to somebody about what they may be going through. Yeah?
What is the role of counselling? Why should someone go to a counsellor in the first place?
Okay, so counseling is basically a process that occurs between a client and a counselor, a client and a therapist, where they look to explore some of the difficulties that a client may be facing at a particular point in time in their lives. Sometimes that difficult time may be a stressful event that may have occurred. Or it could simply be that a client is in a rut, they're in a place where they're not sure what to do next in their lives. And so basically, in counseling, you're able to explore, go through some of the things that may not have been in the forefront of your mind at that point in time, and see where you can go from there.
Okay, so how do we get people who may not think they are in a situation to really seek that help? And as we focus on drug awareness, with addictions, it can get really complicated.
With addiction especially, yes, it can get very complicated. If you have good supports around you, so maybe you have family, maybe you have friends who may be noticing different changes, subtle changes in behaviors, yes, how you display, maybe you shun away or you shut down. Sometimes some people tend to close off themselves, and then family members or friends may notice. So that can be an indicator that, well, hey, maybe you need to talk to somebody about what you may be experiencing, what may be happening with you. What else? With addiction, like you would have said, sometimes that can be a little tricky. Sometimes some people may not think that they have a problem, whereas I have seen clients where they notice that they do have a problem and they want help for that problem that they have, and they're just not too sure how to go about it.
Okay. Well, one of the things I wonder is when we in Barbados, I think things changed a little bit, but when will we be as comfortable with, for example, persons who live in North America? They tend to be very at ease with what they call their shrink, or having those weekly even conversations with that other person, external from all the other things that they do. How are we shaping up with that? Because people will again wonder, well, who's counseling really for? That's not for me.
Exactly, and I like how you phrase that. I'm hoping that we do get to the point of the Americans and the British, the international person who may go to a therapist every week, every day. Some people come twice a week. I think for the Caribbean on a whole, I think that the main thing is confidentiality. I think people are afraid that, because it's so small, the islands are so small, that they think that their information may get out somehow to someone. So I'm thinking that if people become more comfortable and aware that there is a level of confidentiality that comes along with the counseling process, and to understand too that you don't just come to counseling because you have an addiction. Yes, that is one, but some people come for stress, some people come for anxiety, and those are the two main ones that I normally see: stress and anxiety. Because as you know, with the economic situation that we're in now, some people are afraid. They're not sure if they will have a job next 2 years, so thinking further down the road. So it's not just because you may be depressed or you may have an addiction, but simple things such as stress and anxiety and how to manage those things.
In the Barbadian context, as I would have said before, it's not as easy. We're not as willing to share. How do you make it more comfortable, and how do you get people into that space that they share the information? And it's not about really sharing information, but share their perspective on life to help them through that tough patch, that tough time.
Right. So for me, what I would do as a psychologist, I tend to use some disclosure. So I find that once I share something with a client, then they tend to open up a little bit more.
Can you share something about yourself?
About myself with the client first, and I find that tends to help them open up. So it's especially if they may think that they're the only people that are going through these things, it helps them to understand that hey, there's somebody else out there that is going through something like this. Up to last week, I think it was, I was sharing with someone that therapists sometimes have to use some of the same techniques and skills that we teach our clients. We use some of those things ourselves as well. So I think helping clients to see that makes it more of a, gives it more of a personal touch, and more of a human touch, and then they don't feel as afraid to disclose.
You find more of the clients coming to you. You mentioned the two main reasons outside of addiction, anxiety and stress. You find that more and more people are coming to you in that regard,
Yes.
seeking help and advice
For management of stress and anxiety, yes.
So do you use things like that, like those little nuggets, as maybe signs, indicators of what is happening in society as well? Like, does this mean that you also are a source to a greater issue?
Yes, it's true. Those are indicators. So if you realize that you are sleeping more, or you realize that maybe you may be getting more headaches, because all these things are signs of stress. You find that, especially now, I find a lot of clients, they are unable to balance their work life and home life. So because you have so many bills that you have to pay, at the end of the month you have these bills coming up. So it means too that some clients are doing more than one job. Yeah, so trying to find a balance, a medium in between there, that will relate to the stress.
Well, in the situation, it seems like you were talking about mainly adults. What about children? Do children need counseling too?
Of course, and especially I found, yesterday you guys would have had NCSA on, National Council of Substance Abuse, and they would have spoken a bit about children and addiction as well, and starting from as early as 9 years old. So yes, children do need counseling as well, especially now I find that a lot of the children are a lot more angry, and they're showing a lot of aggression. So I do have cases where I see children as well.
Okay, in the final minute or so, you could probably go into that very quickly and tell us what you think that stems from. You mentioned the addiction. Some children as young as 9 using illegal drugs here in Barbados, average age 13. That is amazing to think.
It's hard to think of.
How do you manage those situations? How do you get children out of those ruts?
Right, so for those, similar to adults, for children you have to find things that will captivate them, right? So a lot of children, because parents have to be out a lot working, it's hard for them to find time to spend with the children. So then children find that they are getting angry because they're not getting enough attention from parents. So being able to balance that, have parents in sessions with the children where you can come up with strategies for them to just find little nuggets of time to spend with the child. And basically that's basically all that a child really wants, is that they spend time with their parents.
Excellent. Okay, so we have a few takeaways from today's conversation, I think, about reminding us to look after our health.
Yes, we will come back and talk a bit more to Brenda Roach. Of course, she is a counselling psychologist. Probably about the role as for those counselors and the guidance counselors. So we'll take a break here and come back and spend some more time with Brenda right here on Morning Barbados. That walk is still light for now. It will get heavy as the morning progresses. Hope you're doing well this morning. We're speaking to counselling psychologist Brenda Roach about the role of counselling as it's back to school. It would be good to talk about the role of those guidance counselors for those children who may be facing challenges during school. Bullying continues to be a problem. There are other issues at the school level.
Depression. We just heard of a situation of a youth seeming to take her life. So we need to look at these things and what are some of the signs that parents can look for to try to make some kind of intervention.
So signs, knowing your child is number one. So if you know that your child is usually outgoing, if you know that your child is usually talkative, coming home every day and talking about certain issues and stuff like that, then once you notice that your child has started to taper off, so has started to reduce the level of speech within the home, that is a sign. that you need to be aware that something may be happening.
So a bit of quiet, too much quiet.
Yes, too much quiet. I mean, there are some children that are naturally quiet, but you would know your child. Making sure that, I think that what's important is having set meal times. That helps. So in terms of having a time set aside for parents and children to sit down around the table, have a meal, and discuss what's happened during your day.
Okay.
Research has shown that helps to improve in those situations.
What about the friends they keep? How do you keep a manage on that situation? How do you analyze and know that something could be going wrong? Are they hanging with the wrong crowd?
No, that's a ticklish one because there's so much social media, access to social media out there. So some parents may not know what their children are looking at on Facebook or Instagram or all those other things that a child can be part of. So if there is a way that a parent can restrict certain activities, that will be beneficial. I'm not saying that your child can't have a cell phone, but when we were growing up, we didn't have cell phones, did we?
Not at all.
And we still survived.
So that's not going to happen now.
I know, but there can be a way that you can try to restrict and look to see what your child may be watching. Back in the day too, I find that parents and extended family members, they would know a bit of the class or the circle that your child would keep.
Agreed.
So, even having sleepovers and stuff like that, getting to know, parents can get to know their children's friends and their children's parents.
So open your home.
You open your home to them so that you can have interactions. You can see the types of behaviors that they're exhibiting among the friends. Then you have a better idea of what's going on.
Yeah. What about when should you? Do you have to grapple with parents who don't know or aren't sure when to introduce the cell phone in the first place? Do children have too much privacy? Is that a thing?
That's a good question. Do they have too much privacy? Maybe they do, but you have to be you still have to give children privacy in some areas as well. So, for instance, you don't want to always be in your child's room searching and that kind of thing, but they still need to have a level of privacy as it relates to them. But for parents too, you need to know what's going on in your home too, because sometimes children can bring home things that you're not aware of. And then you don't want a situation to occur where the police end up turning up at your house to search, and then you're unaware that XYZ is in your house, right? So trying to have that open communication with your children, I think that's important.
From early.
Okay. Yes.
There are several areas for counseling. Bullying is one. You mentioned anger too. How do the two gel, the anger in relation to bullying, and how do you counsel for that?
Right. So children are like sponges. So they tend to gravitate or grab onto what is exhibited within the home, within the neighborhood, whatever they see. So you would find that children exhibit anger when maybe they might not be able to get what they want. Maybe something's happening at home where parents might be quarreling all the time, and so then they display that when they get to school. Sometimes children...
It's like a learned behavior?
It is a learned behavior. It is a learned behavior because children absorb things. From small, you probably see babies and sometimes they may say something and you're wondering where did they pick that up from, not realizing that you may have said it in the home yourself, right? So children learn behaviors from adults.
And at a crazy rate.
Yes, they do. At a crazy rate.
Okay, so we have to monitor and try to manage the anger so that they don't find themselves in a bullying situation, which is perpetuating more anger. What about helping them to understand what are maybe positive relationships that are good for them?
Yes. In schools, I guess the guidance counselors can come in here too, because there are situations where the guidance counselors can actually have probably one of the class periods and have discussions with the children in terms of manifesting good relationships, good communication with children. Sometimes you can show short videos that would teach a child, this is the proper way to behave, this is the right way to react to a situation. I find that those are helpful for children, especially little videos, or if you can do role plays, those kind of things, so that children can see how you should react to certain situations.
In these times, let me speak about my time first. I find that we used to go to the guidance counselor. They were in an office, and you were sent there if it was believed that you had a behavioral problem, a behavioral issue. Should guidance counselors in this day and age be more proactive and go to the students on a more regular basis to probably ask them about their problems and see how they can address them?
Yes, I do agree with you on that. Because back in the day, I guess it might have been viewed as a punishment. You know, you're going to the guidance counselor because maybe you did something wrong. Whereas in this day and age, I think, as you said, you need to be more proactive as a guidance counselor. So maybe have it scheduling in some sessions, maybe as a group first, so that nobody doesn't feel as though they're singled out to say, well, yes, you have to go to the guidance counselor because you have a problem. So going to a class and having a group session is beneficial, talking to the class on a whole, and then children get to hear responses from other children. So feedback, and you're hearing what's happening in that child's home, what's happening in this child's home, and then maybe they may be able to reflect more and see, okay, well, maybe I can behave differently.
And also identify problems as well. When you see a problem, well, when I say a problem child, but a child who has seemingly has issues and concerns in that classroom.
I think that it's a tricky situation, but teachers, guidance counselors, they have that, vantage point that they could probably observe certain situations with children when they're together. Do we still have, to the best of your knowledge, guidance counselors in schools?
Yes.
They're still very much present.
Yes.
Okay, so that's a good thing. Now, bereavement is the other thing that people will need counseling for, and that's never an easy situation. So where do you start with that?
That's true, that is never an easy situation. Children and adults is particularly hard. I find, well, for myself, even when I was 11, my mother would have passed away. And so I would have had counseling from that age. But counseling didn't necessarily mean I had to go and sit down in the guidance counselor's office. For me, it was a teacher that used to come, and she used to collect me from class first thing in the morning. And we used to walk around the school and just talk. And that's counseling, that is therapeutic. So for children who may be going through bereavement, that's an option. If a teacher can just take a child out, walk around, talk, and see what the child may be feeling at that point in time, and then the child goes back to class and can continue with their day. With an adult now, it may be a little different, and it depends on the situation. If it was a traumatic experience with the death that would have occurred maybe, or if it was a sudden death. So it depends on the situation. Sometimes with adults, they may start to close off themselves as well and tend to not open up and share. You can find that particularly with males as well, who don't like to really talk about feelings and emotions. And I think too that is the way society has it set out. A man is supposed to be macho and not cry in front of people and that kind of thing. So it's to break down those types of barriers to then get people to open up.
You subscribe to that, Sean?
I subscribe to going to counseling for sure. I'm not praying. I don't.
You don't pray?
I think I walk right now. I didn't walk right now.
I think you should start counseling here.
Brenda, thank you so much for coming on the program this morning. The role of a counselor is indeed key in so many settings. And if you have stress is something that I think more adults have now, like more than ever. So a counselor would be the best option. Thank you so much again. 6:39 is our time. We'll take a break.